The Golden Age arc, one of the best arcs for many reasons. We have sexy guts, sexy Casca, fanboy, and it will always be so funny to me that this is a flashback arc. Many tend to forget that from what I've seen, and this arc focuses on many things, but one of the main focus is on three characters, Guts, Casca, and Griffith, as their fates are intertwined, and each alter the other in some shape or form that determines the path that they choose. But there's something else about them that I haven't seen talked about, and it's how they all share something in common. They are all seeking purpose, and they each explore it through different means. Guts through life and death, Griffith through his ambition, and Casca with devotion. And this is what I want to focus on today's Berserk deep dive. Unlike my previous Berserk deep dive videos where I analyze one scene, this time I want to analyze three specific scenes in these three characters as they are connected, and these are the defining moments in their lives, and each one of them found a different answer. And there's something we can learn from this, as Berserk teaches us so much, like never trust a fanboy. But starting with Guts, the defining moment for Guts begins in chapter 11, after he killed Gambino. Not the act of killing him, but the aftermath of his death. Specifically, this double page spread is Guts' defining moment. The reason why is because Guts never thought about anything in general when Gambino was alive, as all Guts was doing is trying to make him proud, to seek his love. That was his purpose in life. So once Gambino was gone from his life, he was empty. He lost this fabricator purpose that Gambino unintentionally created. But what makes this tragically beautiful is that despite the trauma of Guts killing Gambino, is that this is the moment Guts' life truly started. And Miura made sure to tell us that through his amazing art. As the moment Guts opened his eyes, he was greeted by a brand new world. Now it's true that Guts lost everything, but there's a reason why he didn't give up in this moment. Not just because he got that dog in him or how he's the struggler. No. There's a reason why Miura decided to draw a double page spread for this moment, and even in the next page he made sure to draw Guts looking at this dark beautiful night in awe. The moment Guts opened his eyes, he was greeted by this beautiful dark starry night. This subconsciously gave Guts a new purpose in life that he himself couldn't understand, as he himself didn't understand why he got back up. He was just a kid after all, but he did understand it subconsciously, as he did stand back up and didn't give up. This dark starry night showed Guts there's beauty to be found in the world even with all this darkness surrounding it. You just have to find it. This was the purpose Guts found but couldn't understand. To keep struggling, as surely there's beauty to be found through all the darkness in his life. But the tragedy was that he was still just a kid, raised in a battlefield. So to him, purpose became synonymous with survival. He believed the only way to reach that beauty he saw when he opens his eyes as a kid was through bloodshed. He thinks he needs to put himself on the edge of death again and again. That's why he becomes addicted to the battlefield without even knowing it. That's why he seeks out fights, like fighting Boss Uso. He's trying to recreate that feeling, that brush with death over and over again, that might lead to that feeling, and through it find his purpose. Next, let's look at Casca and her defining moment that led her on this journey of seeking purpose, and the answer she came up with. Casca's defining moment was in chapter 32, when Griffith threw a sword for Casca to pick up. It's the first time in her life someone gave her agency. Not her family who gave her away, not the man who tried to assault her, but Griffith, by tossing her that sword, telling her, you're not just something to be used, you have power, you can choose. And that changes her forever. But here's the tragedy. While Griffith gave her agency, he also became the center of her identity. Her purpose was now anchored in Griffith, in serving him, protecting him, and fighting for his dream. She didn't just admire him, she saw him as the reason her life had meaning. He became the reason she fought. Her devotion to him wasn't just loyalty, it was so much more, like love, but most importantly, identity. Casca's identity was tied to Griffith, thus why she was so afraid to move on from Griffith, as is shown even in a future chapter where she and Guts open up with each other. She talks about how she's scared to admit of what she's become. It was like the me I had been since I met Griffith, like the feelings I had since then would be false. She believed that protecting his dream was her dream, that helping him rise was the reason she was allowed to live, and that's the tragedy. She thought she had found purpose, but what she really found was dependency disguised as devotion. Casca's devotion gave her strength. She became a fierce, respected warrior, but it was a double-edged sword. Her sense of self became so entangled with Griffith that when he broke, so did she. And it's important to understand, Casca's purpose wasn't inherently weak. It wasn't wrong to find meaning through someone else. But Berserk shows us what happens when that purpose is placed in a dream that's not truly yours, a dream that can collapse at any time. And this is where the beauty of Guts and Casca comes from. Guts, who was just searching for purpose through life and death battles, as it was the only thing he knew how to do. And then Casca, who built herself around Griffith, became his most loyal warrior, fought for his dream like it was gospel, but deep down, she was suffocating. There's a reason why when Guts joins the Band of the Hawk, she hates him so much. He disrupts the system. Griffith begins to value Guts more, and that terrifies her, not out of jealousy, but out of fear that her role, her place, her identity could be replaced. But the irony, Guts is the one who helps her break out of that shell. And when Guts left the Band of the Hawk, Casca was more focused on Guts instead of helping Griffith in this moment, because it's not just about Guts leaving, it's about her whole belief falling apart. If Griffith's so-called sword can walk away, maybe his dream isn't everything. Maybe there's more to life. Maybe she can live without Griffith. And she lets go. Not entirely, not forever, but for the first time, she allows herself to exist outside of Griffith. Guts and Casca throughout their journey find purpose in each other. For a brief moment, these two broken people find something real. Guts learns that he doesn't always need to fight to matter, that his worth isn't tied to survival or bloodshed, that he can be loved just for being. Casca learns that her identity isn't locked inside Griffith's dream, that she can be loved not for what she offers but for who she is, and can offer something in return, that her life has meaning. Their intimacy isn't just romantic, it's transformative. They become vulnerable with each other in ways they never could with anyone else. Which then brings us to Griffith. Now Griffith is an interesting fuck. I have to call him fuck to remind myself how awful he is despite him being sexy. Griffith is an interesting case, as he really doesn't have a defining moment compared to Guts and Casca, and it was done on purpose by Miura. Now Griffith is so polished and composed in the Golden Age arc that you almost forget. He is the most desperate one of them all in seeking out his purpose. While Guts and Casca discover their purpose through their awful experience, Griffith is the opposite. Griffith chose ambition not because he had to, not because he was poor or traumatized or abandoned, but because the idea of a normal life terrifies him. That's his greatest fear, not death, not failure, but being ordinary. This is shown perfectly in a chapter where he was at his lowest and dreams of living a retired peaceful life with Casca, and it's presented like a nightmare. I mean, just look at his expressions. This was his hell. This behelit was his escape, what gave him the option to escape this life, which is why the dream ended when the behelit showed up. And even before the Golden Age arc and the Black Swordsman arc, Guts remembered a conversation with Griffith, which highlights Griffith's fears even more, about not leaving anything behind, not knowing his place in the world, and how there are people who are by nature are keys that set the world in motion. They are the true elite, which is why being normal scares him. It's why his ambition is so strong. He is willing to do anything, as the further he climbs, the more visible will his purpose be clear. And the most damning thing is that he could never share that burden with anyone, not even Guts, not Casca. Because to Griffith, sharing is the same as losing it, as in his eyes, to truly be special, one has to basically walk alone. as shown in his conversation with Charlotte. What he calls a friend is someone who is his equal, someone who doesn't cling to his dream. But again, he was lying to himself. He couldn't allow himself to need anyone, because then he might not be special anymore. Where with Guts and Casca accepted the normality, accepted their weakness, something Griffith could never do, and thus ended up becoming femto. So what is Berserk really trying to say with all this? Through these three characters, Guts, Casca, and Griffith. Purpose is not a fixed thing. It's not always grand. It's not always clean. And most importantly, it's not something you always had to carry alone. Guts found purpose in survival, in bloodshed, because it was all he knew. Casca found purpose in devotion, because it was the first time someone gave her a choice. Griffith found purpose in ambition, because the idea of being ordinary scared him more than death itself. And yet, all three of these purposes collapse under the weight of their own isolation. Guts realizes that surviving alone isn't living. Casca learns that devoting herself entirely to someone else's dream means losing herself. And Griffith never lets anyone in. He climbs alone, and in doing so, he loses everything human about himself. At the end of the day, we all have different purposes and what we seek out of life. And the important thing to realize is that at the end of the day, it's not what your purpose is that defines you. It's how you carry it. Whether you carry it alone, whether you let others carry it with you, whether you're willing to let go when that purpose no longer serves you. Because purpose without connection becomes a cage at times. And Berserk shows us that in the most brutal, beautiful way possible. Guts only started to truly live when he allowed someone to stand beside him. Casca began to heal when she let herself be more than someone else's dream. And Griffith lost himself in his pursuit of purpose and decided to become femto. That's the difference. It's okay to be broken. It's okay to not know your purpose. It's okay to change it. What Miro teaches us is that we don't have to find some grand destiny for ourselves. It's that we should never destroy ourselves chasing one, and we should never destroy others just to feel like we matter. So yeah, maybe don't trust a fanboy. That's the message of Berserk. So I hope you enjoyed this video and my take on these characters that I love so much, and will never be bored talking about them. Look forward to my next Berserk videos that I plan on releasing this week.